rise to the invocation followed by the pledge of allegiance to the flag of our country. Our most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, we thank you for the opportunity that we have here this evening. And Lord, we ask that you bless the city commission and give us the knowledge and the wisdom, Lord, that you want us to have to make the best decisions for our citizens. Lord, please look over our Commissioner Bennett tonight and her family as they are struggling from others. And we ask you, Lord, for your hand to come down and touch and ease the pain, Lord. Please be with us all and guide us and bless us. For all these things we ask in your precious name. Amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd like to welcome all here this evening, and those that are not in attendance. Once again, we are doing a go-to webinar. So if you want to be recognized, have any issues, please either raise your hand or dial 407-576-1792. Thank you. First this evening is approval of the minutes from our January 13th meeting. They have been distributed. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections? Hearing none, we need a motion. So moved. We have a motion to approve. We have a second.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? This motion carried unanimously. Next, we're going to do a presentation for our Outstanding Citizen Award presented to Mr. Wendell Coach, Jr.
You're not getting off standing. We're not standing up there alone.
The city would like to recognize Wendell Coach for his work in the community in 2021. Wendell grew up in Winter Garden and is giving back by coaching and mentoring the youth in our community. I want him to know how much our city appreciates his efforts and all the good work he has done with the children. Thank you, Wendell. I will turn it over to Commissioner Mitchell.
I'm going to read it. This is a note that came from city staff. So this tells you a little bit about city staff and what they think of Wendell, because he's been working very closely with the city. Wendell Coates grew up in Winter Garden, graduated from West Orange High School in 2006. He played varsity basketball and now is a mentor for a basketball team for an AAU team, Global Not Local, based in Winter Garden. He is also an organizer of the Back to School Bash and annual Community Water Day. Last year was a tremendously difficult one for the city, and especially our kids with COVID. Many of our kids isolated with no activities they usually participated were canceled. Having Wendell step up and host this event was just what our kids needed. It was a successful event. He did it as a way to provide fun and positive way to start the school year. The event was held on July 31st, 2021 with giveaways and water games. Wendell also coached basketball from East Winter Garden last year. Wendell has a company called Global Not Local that exists to inspire young youth beyond their local environment and situation and to elevate themselves to think beyond where they live. He is inspiring to kids and to never settle for mediocrity and always to strive to become the best versions of themselves. Wendell is a community leader, coach, and mentor. He is about bringing our community together and setting an example. For all his good works, the city wanted to honor him by giving him this award. That's from city staff. So I think it's very, very relevant that city staff think so highly of Wendell. And I'm going to give you my comments about Wendell. As I get older, I start to realize what an honor it is to watch young people grow older and become the people who they are. And Wendell is one of those guys. I have to tell you a real quick story how I met Wendell. So apparently, and I'm sure many of the people in the chambers, and by the way, it's probably the biggest group we've ever had in this chamber, so thanks to Wendell for that. West Orange High School had a little issue with some of the shirts that some of the kids were wearing. I won't go into all the details. It was a misunderstanding. Everything went fine. But what happened was, Wendell told all the parents, call the commish, let them know, let your voice be heard. My phone blew up for probably 2 days straight. So I called Wendell, finally find out who this guy Wendell was, and I called Wendell, I said, Wendell, just tell me what you need me to do, just make it stop. I'll do anything, just make the phone stop. And he did, and it all worked out great. And that's when I realized this kid's got some chops, and we need to work with him and become partners with him in the city, and it worked out great. It's so important to have people like Wendell partnered with the city. And Wendell, thank you. I want to thank the kids for being participants in all of this, and I'm sure we're going to see a lot of great things coming from this organization and from Wendell as well. Thank you.
It's my pleasure on behalf of the city of Winter Garden to award the Outstanding Citizen Award for 2021. Congratulations.
My boys, come on real quick.
Yeah, boys, come on. We'll get the picture. Come on up there.
Larry, Caleb. Make a good picture. All right, y'all present. So on behalf of us, we want to present y'all guys with jersey, our original jersey. So thank y'all for y'all support.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, anybody wants to take a picture, feel free to come on out.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much. We appreciate it.
So first, we'll do a first reading of public hearing proposed ordinances, ordinance 22-01.
Yes, ordinance 22-01, an ordinance of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, establishing voting district boundaries, adopting the report of the districting commission, including the map and description of proposed election districts filed with the city by the districting commission established pursuant to section 25 of the city charter, enacting the district boundaries proposed by such report and providing for conflict, severability, and effectiveness.
Thank you. Mr. Bites.
Can't believe you make me follow that, you know. Yeah, gets great kids together, does all this, we draw a few boundaries, so good evening, Mayor, Commissioners, City staff, and again, first and foremost, our commission would like to thank you for the opportunity to be of service to Winter Garden in doing this. I'm presenting this map for the new voting districts. It was approved unanimously by our commission. Our commission was made up of John Murphy serving District 1, Steve Dolgan serving District 2, Myron Brown serving District 3, Selenia Roldan serving District 4, and myself as the mayor's appointment. Our commission held 4 separate meetings, the final 2 with all the commissioners present. We also invited public comments at each meeting. So first, I'd like to just do a brief history on redistricting in the city over the past 20 years. Districts were last adjusted in 2001 when the city population was 14,000, or the districts were adjusted in 2001, the city population was 14,350. Each district had 3,600 residents. This was after the 2000 census. By 2008, the city had grown to 31,000 residents. It had doubled in population. And so pursuant to the city charter, if a district becomes 50% larger than the smallest district, you're required to redistrict. And so we did that in 2008. Today's redistricting is due to the 10-year census of 2020 with our current population of approximately 47,000. So the commission first reviewed the city charter for instructions which talks about the districting themselves. So we have no choice but to go with 4 districts. In other words, the districting commission has to go with what the city charter says. We're not allowed to come in and go, wow, this would work better with 6 districts, or this would work better with 8, or anything else. That's not our job. Our job is to take the 4 districts and go forward. The charter talks about each district should be formed of compact contiguous territory. Boundary lines shall follow the center lines of street whenever possible. Aggregate length of all district boundaries should be as short as possible. Districts shall be equal in population based upon principle of equal and effective representation as required by federal and state constitutions. Deviation in the population of a district when formed may not exceed 5% of the average population for all districts. If you're following into the state redistricting right now, you may be hearing 10% is the number for the state. Since we're a small organization, our city charter requires 5%. In other words, when we redistrict, we have to be within 5%. So the 5% rule being stricter than the 10% is really our number one rule. In other words, our number one rule says, take the population, divide it by 4, and you need to stay pretty close in working with your districts. You really don't have a lot of leeway because 5%, we're getting down to about 1,000 people. Once you move 1,000 people, you can start exceeding that. What we really tried to do is our second rule of the commission was do no harm. In other words, if it's not really broke, don't make a huge change. In other words, what we knew in looking at our districts were districts 1 and 3, I'm going to get my numbers probably wrong, is that we knew with the moving of the districts is districts 2 and 4 we're going to have to move down, and 1 and 3 we're going to have to, because 1 and 3 are the smaller districts, 1 being what we'll call maybe the northern boundary of Winter Garden, 3 being the eastern boundary of Winter Garden. After the 2008 redistricting, District 3, which used to be a minority-majority district, lost that status. It simply couldn't, we didn't have enough minorities in there to have a pure minority-majority district. However, District 3 was still a non-white majority district. It was the only district that was a non-white majority district. So when we were looking at that, we tried to hold that as well in doing that. I think that we believe that the map that you have in front of you best accomplishes the goals set out for our group, that all the districts are within the 5% requirement. District 3 remains again, we call it a non-white majority district. We think that we've used boundaries that are easily recognizable for division purposes. That way, when someone's trying to determine what district they live in, do you live east or west of Dillard Street? Do you live north or south of another major road? So we try to hold those. We don't believe that we have split any neighborhood HOA organizations or split what we call a census block. We had to use our numbers coming off of census blocks, and when you have a census block, you know what the numbers are within that block and you know the demographics of that block. But if we went in and tried to split one of those blocks, we would have to guess at whatever the numbers were in there, and so we tried to avoid doing that as well. And last, we kept each sitting commissioner in the district in which they're currently serving. We would be allowed in redistricting to zone a commissioner out if we felt that that was needed to accomplish the other goals. If we did that, that commissioner would be able to serve the rest of their term, but they would not be allowed to run again at the same district. They would be able to, they'd have to run in whatever district they got rezoned into. So we tried to hold all the commissioners in their same district. So what I think that you'll see is all of these maps really come back down to, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Literally, when you decide, I want to move it a block over this way, you have to either take in a neighborhood or you have to take in a group, and once you do that, then you're pushing a population, and now you have to move another one. And then you have to move another one, and it's a full circle around. The difference in the older days was it was very easy to have using Lakeview as a division. In today's new demographics, especially out south of town, you have HOA neighborhoods. And if you think of an HOA neighborhood, or you think of a neighborhood as a subdivision, the streets in the subdivision are in the middle of a subdivision. So when you define a street, you're splitting a subdivision. And if you think about going down Bay Street, for example, once you hit Bay Street, moving towards Lakeview High School, every one of those are subdivisions. And you can't pick a road going down that street because every road's in the middle of a subdivision. And if you use a road as a boundary, you've now split that subdivision. So we believe that we came up with the best alternative that we could come with. Alan is here somewhere, and Alan was the magic map maker for us. And we would have him, we would gather in here, we would sit and just all stand in front and start going, Alan, bring in this one, take out this one, move in this one. And so, again, I think our commission played with as many as we could. We believe that the map we presented you best accomplishes the goals of the commission, best accomplishes the redistricting with the minimal movement, but movement that was required from district to district. And we believe, like I said, it really tried to, as much as we could, do no harm. So we're happy to present that to you, and I'll take questions for what I can remember of just doing this maybe 2 months ago.
Questions from the commission?
So how long of a process was it?
We had four meetings, and like I said, on the last 2 meetings, when we really started to hone in on what we thought was going to be the map, all of our commissioners were there for those meetings. And in fact, I believe Colin came and talked to us the one, all meetings were open to anyone who wanted to come to them. They were noticed, so therefore they were in the sunshine. Any commissioners that wanted to attend were welcome to attend, and we listened to anyone that had input in wanting that. But again, the last 2, we had everybody there, and it was unanimous when we came through with that.
I like the not splitting it.
My only comment is just, I certainly want to thank the entire committee for all their hard work. Appreciate everything done. I also want to speak with my fellow commissioners in other meetings later about a couple of the neighborhoods that I think was outstanding work. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any other questions? This is a public hearing. We will open a public hearing if anyone wishes to comment. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Derek, we thank you and committee for all of y'all's hard work, and it's very much appreciated by us and the citizens of Winter Garden. So,
And we appreciate in our entire commission, as last being appreciated, being able to serve and do this for the city of Winter Garden. So we thank you as well, and I'm gonna go follow basketball.
Thank you. Great job. We need a motion. Two. This is the first one.
I mentioned to the city manager that I wanted to go just look at a couple of things myself, possibly in town sometime, but, we've got time for a second reading for that.
Mm-hmm.
Given that they were all appointed and, it was unanimous, I would make a motion to approve it.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. We have a second.
I'll second.
We have a motion, we have a second. Any other discussion? Not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? This motion carried unanimously. Ordinance 2202 and ordinance 2203, we will postpone the first reading of this until a later date. So, Lisa, do you need to go? Okay, ordinance 22-07.
Yes, sir. Ordinance 22-07, an ordinance of the city of Winter Garden, Florida, amending ordinance 21-32. The city of Winter Garden fiscal year 2021-2022 budget, carry forward prior year appropriations, providing for severability and an effective date with the following revenues as follows: general fund $29,280,678, community redevelopment agency fund $651,572, law enforcement trust fund $14,139, local option gas tax fund $163,824, general impact fee fund $3,269,369, transportation impact fee fund $6,454,480, capital projects fund $520,440, utilities operating fund $7,910,028. Utilities Impact Fee Fund, $369,297. Stormwater Fund, $1,938,455. Solid Waste Fund, $120,083. Trailer City Fund, $4,000, for total revenues of $50,696,365, with expenditures in corresponding identical amounts to the total amount the same. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. This ordinance amends the current year budget to carry forward the projects that were budgeted for last fiscal year that were complete by the end of the fiscal year. Exhibit 1 shows the projects that staff are recommending to carry forward, and we'd be happy to answer your questions you may have.
Questions from the commission?
Are we seeing any financial impacts from just from the supply chain issues and other variations we've followed?
From what issues, I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, are we seeing any impacts from supply chain issues and just generally prices going up?
Yes. Yeah, but these are the original budgets that we're carrying forward. If there are variances between the actual costs, we will put those in the interim, which will happen with some of the projects which we take into
Yes,
commission.
thank you, Mayor.
This is a public hearing. We will open a public hearing if anyone wishes to speak. Seeing none, we will close the public hearing. Oh, did I see one? I'm sorry, if you'd like to come up, your name and address, please. Sorry, I missed you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Dawn Jones. I live on South Avenue in Winter Garden, Florida. My concern is about the annexation that you all are proposing.
Yes, ma'am.
So am I speaking in the proper time?
We're gonna, yes, ma'am, we'll get to the annexation in a
Okay,
moment.
well,
Yes,
I should
ma'am.
have a seat then.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. That's okay, thank you. Anyone else on the budget? Okay.
Good evening, my name is Sarah Wolf, I live at 221 North Coast. What preparation